Championship Esports Series round 4 of the F4 category here at Monza, Italy, and this track has been quite highly publicised in the way of mixed emotions in the way that define how people go about their business. So I'm Brett Keenan, joined in commentary today by Stuart McKenzie. Sorry, Mackenzie Stewart. I looked at your PSN and it's a force of habit. So it's been in action for like 7 years. So
no.
So
I won't blame you there. No, you ain't the first person to do it, and you certainly won't be the last.
So I'll get you to ready up for the spectator thing, and we'll get pretty much started. Rudy has actually managed to get in. I'm not sure. I'll just contact him a bit quickly about where he needs to go. Rudy, we will put you in the. Let me just have a quick look. Have we got both Saubers? No, yes we do. Okay, you're gonna run the both Mercs. Actually, hang on. 15. Let me just check the teams and drivers. Rudy, jump in the Haas if you can hear me quickly. No, okay, that's not gonna go down well. Okay, never mind that. So anyway, we sit here at Monza for what is round 4 of the F4 category, round 14 of the Transnation Formula 1 E-Series, F1, F2 and F3. I don't think we'll be doing what we did with the F3 and catching the F4 up to us, so a shorter championship for the F4.
That'll be a bit of a sweaty mess trying to do bloody, what was it, like 11 or 12 rounds in the space of
back to back 5-lap sprints. That would probably cover off an hour or something, so that wouldn't be so bad. We could probably do it later, like on an off period, just not for the championship, but just for a laugh or two. But anyway, so you, Mackenzie, how would you define Monza if you were told by someone? How would you define Monza?
I'd probably define it as if overall lap, the fastest track on the calendar. Cars hitting speeds about 350, 360 kilometers, braking in the turn 1 from about 360 to about 80 or 90 in the space of about 100, 150 meters. So that's probably the most crucial point on the track, being able to get the car slowed down in the shortest distance possible. And if you lose slipstream on somebody, you're pretty much just gonna be out with no chance of catching them, just because of how powerful the slipstream is on this game compared to last year. If you lose a slipstream or run out of the ERS at the wrong time, you could really hurt your chance of gaining on the guy in front of you.
And the ERS has been one of the biggest talking points of the F1 2018 game as of late. It's been given mixed reviews on the way. Some people like the idea of it, some people just find it too complicated and don't like it. I somewhat sit in between. It's alright in some cases. I just don't use it. When I just usually run the full engine rev the whole race, despite it being empty or depleted or whatnot. But it's been definitely a make or break change in how you approach attacking people in the racing, that's for sure. So we've got 15 drivers this weekend, 2 what you would call former drivers, in Tyler Beasley and Rudy Rundi Gojira, who normally run now in F3, though Rudy's now claiming that F3 might be a bit too late of time for him. So you could see a return to F4 for Rudy.
Yeah, no, it's good to see that guys are actually in the Ferrari seats now. Considering 5 minutes ago we didn't have anybody in the Ferrari seats, and now.
Oh, we just
and Tyler.
Yeah, just caught that. It was riding on board with him there. I
That was a
think,
bit awkward.
yeah, I think it was one of the Mercs, the McLarens, which it was Alex Reese, the guy that raced last, well, didn't get very far in last weekend's Belgium Grand Prix on debut, didn't make it past the first turn. Or, actually, no, sorry, it was Uppo Rouge where he ended up out of the race, but definitely looked like Tyler had to get on the brakes a little bit because of Alex being a little slow through the end of Ascari, and then it looked like Tyler just slammed on the brakes and it actually just flung him.
It flung him the other way, yeah.
So, having a look at the tyre strategy, we've got quite a few people on the Super Sauce.
Everyone's on the Super. Is everyone? No.
No,
Oh,
you've
yeah,
got
no,
Ayub. You've got Ayub Al Hassanoui in P3, well P3 on the leaderboard with the softs. You've got Luke Ringham in P7 with the mediums. Alex DeMeo in P13. This is also his home Grand Prix too, the Italian driver, on the soft. So
fun fact as well. Italian hasn't won the Italian Grand Prix since 1970. Thank you, Coffee, for that interesting fact that I'll never have to use again.
and not only that, we also have our first Italian driver in the Italian Grand Prix, as we've not actually had any Italian drivers in the TNF1 up until this season. So it's good to see the diversity of the international drivers starting to make their way into the sport now. So Kyle Wilson in the Renault has gone to the top with a 120.7, followed by Joseph Roberts in the Red Bull with a 21.3, and then Ken Doyle.
I don't know how you remember all these names. Like I'm struggling to bloody remember them week in, week out. But then you're out here remembering like four or five leagues worth of names. So for that I put my hand up to you. That's some crazy stuff.
Pick of the trade. So James Tamayo's moved up to P2 with Albert Ramirez Garcia now in third.
Oh.
And Tyler's.
That's.
Where's he done that?
I'm just caught at that. I think it was one of the Red Bulls was going slow offline, and Tyler just had nowhere to go. He was boxed in. He just drove straight into the back of the Red Bull. He just parked off the racing line, obviously to let the faster guys through because he's just set his lap time.
And it was
coming down.
And it was
out
Joseph
of Curva Grande into turn 4.
Yeah, and it was Joseph Roberts that was the cause of it, and he's been given a 5-place grid penalty for that. So now Ethan Lossing's our Belgium race winner, has moved up into P2 to make it a Renault 1-2. Now, we did have a Renault 1-2 at Hungary last 2 weekends ago, and I think that was the F1 category, wasn't it?
Yeah, F1, with Alex Fretwell and March sitting on the front row, but unfortunately they couldn't convert it into a race when your boy started P10 and won.
March of course getting a decent start. Didn't see what happened to him during that race, and then Alex didn't go anywhere at the start and caused quite a bit of a commotion.
I think he from what he was saying, he got the delayed start where everyone went before him, and then Shaw's got real emotional after the race, saying that he didn't go anywhere off the start and gave Shaw's a orange front wing off the line, and then of course he swerved to avoid him, and that caused the whole carnage with Axel and Daniel and a few other guys. It was quite spectacular to see on the broadcast.
It was very too quick to the eye to really notice until it kind of was already halfway finished. I suppose it was the same looking at the F1 last weekend, watching it from the stream at Belgium, watching that same sort of thing happen down the Kemmel Straight.
One thing I've realised as well, you're talking about the incidents, and the common denominator in all this is Nadir. So unfortunate for him to be caught up in all these incidents.
Yeah, Nadir, and it didn't even make it to turn 1 at Hungary, and then didn't even make it past the first lap beyond that. So he'll be looking to hopefully rectify that this weekend on his, well, I wouldn't call it his home turf actually, I'd call it his enemy's home turf, because French and Italians don't seem to see eye to eye as far as I believe, but so
it's good to see that he does still continue to turn up and commit to the league, even though he knows that even though he has struggled to get results out of it in the past, like where he's had races like that, but then he's had races where he's finished in the top 6, I believe, or top 7 in a few races. So
season best result, I think, of 5th as far as I believe. And that came from Monaco.
And obviously, I need the top 3 drivers finished. So but it'll be good to see. Hopefully, Haas can start climbing themselves back up the constructors, because since Alex left in round 1, after round 1, they've only scored 8 points since Alex left them. Because Alex scored 53 points in the first 3 or 4 rounds before he left to join me at Merck, and now they're only on 61 at the moment. So hopefully with their new driver Finn Kelly and Nadir can call back some more points. But we're getting off topic here. Let's get back on topic to the F4 guys.
I was just about to say Finn Kelly has a bit of a reputation behind him, so I'd hope he'd be able to put that behind him and score some decent points. But anyway, so the top 2 still stand at Kyle Wilson and Ethan Lossing, so the Renault boys are definitely showing some good pace. And then the first of the Ferraris is Rudy, who's only just under a second off the pace on the soft tyre, so that's not too bad there given the circumstances. I'm sure his teammate would have been there or thereabouts in the top 5, but with, of course, that incident with Joseph Roberts, I'll get you to check the Discord just to see if there's any up in arms about that. But right now, James Tamayo's done a really good job, and he'll be hoping for a good result. Despite, I mean, he did finish a career best 6th place last weekend, but that was also on the account that his car was doing all the work. He had actually disconnected and couldn't get back in, so P6, despite that's not a bad result, as his car drifts out of pit lane, gives the rear actually gave the wall a whack, so that's quite interesting when you look at it there. And then Ken Doyle, who hasn't had a teammate for the last few races, and I think actually his teammates just hit the 3 races in a row without an excuse, which is a frowned upon nature, so probably you might not see Alex Hawke anymore as opposed to that ruling, at least maybe until F5 kicks off, which we're still looking for members, by the way. So anyone that's looking to join the Transnation Formula 1 Esports Series, leave a comment in the comment section, and either myself or Mackenzie will pick up on it while we watch the stream through and send a Discord link into the chat conversation, and then that way you can then follow the guidelines and take part in our soon to be F5. We're going to have a cut-off point at this rate with the F5, that if we can't get enough drivers by the Russian Grand Prix, which is in 3 weeks time, then
a month long, because we got that week off between this.
Yeah, well, we got the week off next weekend, then it's Singapore, then it's Russia. So if we don't have enough team drivers by Russia, then we will pretty much just keep registrations open, but you guys, the F5 drivers, won't race until next season. So, because there's no point having a 5 race weekend season for a category.
Unless you just keep the registration and then just get them to fill in where.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean that's the end game. F5 drivers are more than welcome to fill in for F4 and those certain bases.
Man, well, while you were babbling along and keeping quiet, I mean, and not talking about everyone. Luke's gone to the top of the Sauber on the software.
Yeah, I did click onto that. I was just trying to finish my sentence and get to that. But so a 120.72 on the soft. So he's only
the top 3. The top 3 are separated by less than a tenth of a second at the moment. So.
And the tyre contrast difference is quite amazing too. So Luke on the softs and then the other 2 on the supers. So people talk about the one-stop strategy being possible from the super softs and mediums, but if I was wanting to be in someone's shoes right now, I'd rather be in Luke's with the softs, because you're going to guarantee that you're not going to have absolutely dead to the bone tyres at the end of the race.
Yeah, well, Brett, some of us are better looking after our tyres than a certain someone is. So Yeah,
Oh,
it's definitely possible, but again, like, it'll just depend on your setup and how you look after the tyres in the race, because obviously this track's a lot like Baku, where the red tyres get absolutely hammered around here with all the tracks. Pretty much every corner around here is a traction zone, so you need to be really cautious on the tyres.
so one driver other than Tyler who hasn't set a time yet is David Edwards in the Force India, well, the Racing Point as we'll now call it, since it's now the official name for the team. So the Racing Point driver not actually been able to set a lap yet, so my guess is that he's had a few runs on the Super, so my guessing is that he hasn't been able to set a valid time on the sheet yet, and he's run out of Super Softs to use, so he's now having to elect to use the softs.
No, this is his first run.
No, but he's done previous runs on the Super Soft. Or either that or whether I was seeing things.
According to the Delta, no, it's his first lap on the softs. He hasn't touched the Super Softs at all, so...
We've got an incident, oh no, slow car in Sector 2. So yeah, James Tamayo doing a pretty good job in the 88 Williams, which come the 2019 game he won't be able to use. Actually, it's quite ironic that.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, 88 in the Williams, yeah, I was just about to say that, yeah.
The irony is true on that one, but I suppose most people would be used. If you saw a 23 Toro Rosso Honda, which I don't think... Actually, funnily, we actually came across an interesting fact over the last couple of weeks that every category, apart from F1, has a Toro Rosso driver with the number 25. So in F2 you've got Jordan Dittmer, in F3 you've got Fuzzbuzz Core, or Core Amon, and then here we've got Ken Doyle running the 25. Now, in a bit
Mason.
of... No, but
Mason, you need
Mason.
to change this.
Yeah, well, no, this is where the irony kicks in. Eddie Bettenbauer, who is in Toro Rosso, runs the 24, so... one number off.
Almost, yeah. Almost there.
So, it'd be interesting to say the least.
David Edwards has just come through the Sky, now heading down the Parabolica to complete his first flying lap of the session.
It's looking pretty reasonable looking from... We'll just see how it comes around the last turn. Definitely takes as Rudy goes
Rudy's
to the top.
gone to the top.
With a 20.1. This time of Dave's is actually...
Oh, maybe.
Invalidated 23.4.
Yeah, no, it looked like it was a he wasn't running the high overtake engine mode, so it looks like maybe he was just on a second lap, maybe just to warm the tyres up, or maybe he didn't validate it. But yeah, no, he's on it. He's definitely on the lap now.
Now, strikingly, Luke has kind of well, I don't want to say he's reacted to it, but he's actually changed his mind about what tyre he wants to start on, so he's now electing to try and do the Super Softs. Now, if he could pull a 20
if
point... If he can do a 20.7 on the softs, he should expect to be quicker.
Oh, he's been blocked on his lap by two cars going sideways, and that'll be his session over and done with. Mercedes has gone P3. I've got no idea what his name is. He's 500 off P2.
That's Albert.
So, if anything, this is kind of a blessing for Luke, because one, he'll be starting second, not first, so and two, he'll be on the softs as well. So
yeah, but I can imagine that he won't be too happy with the idea of what's happened there. Now, I can't say that there is a fault to that, because my guess would have been that one of the drivers was pulling over to let the other through, and it just happened that Luke was in the wrong place at the right place at the wrong time. So he's been caught up in an incident that was I wouldn't say it was avoidable. Definitely throw an investigation in just to be sure of how that transpired. Hopefully Luke can provide us with some footage to see whether or not it was that kind of just misjudgment of two cars letting each other through, and then it does come down to a bit of spatial awareness, which has been probably one of the biggest problems that we've seen in qualifying.
Just in general, ever since the league started, you've always well. Then again, like it's always a thing that happens in F1 games. You see people you see people just wanting to try and commit to their own space. They're not willing to give it up because of the chances of that they catch them on their actual lap and then have their own lap ruined, and then they can't do anything about it because they didn't back up enough. But yeah, I think Kyle in the second Renault just was on the lap and he didn't improve, but it looks like he's trying to go again, but with 10 seconds left in the session. Jamie's been disqualified from the session.
I'm just trying to find out I'm just having a look at this thing. I'm just trying to figure out who this Racing Badger fella is.
The one thing I'm confused is how's Jamie been disqualified from the session?
What did it say on the...
It said on the thing it was going the wrong way, but...
So maybe he's made a mistake and it was deemable by...
Maybe, yeah. No.
Racing Badgers Twitch Kozriki.
Alright, and then Kyle's just gone P2 on his second run. He's jumped Luke. If you're gonna watch the stream, can you mute it in the background, please?
Sure.
The second Renault's gone to P2. Charger's jumped into P2, and so it's a Renault 2-3 at the moment. But yeah, Ferrari will still take pole position. Looks like for now the only person who can really beat that is Ken. What will Ken do? He'll do a 20.9. That'll put him P6, and that's qualifying over and done with. And Ferrari start the weekend off as they in personal opinions, they can
Well, I think
off.
Well, personally, I think last season we had 2 of the 3 pole positions come from Ferrari last season.
Yours truly was one of them.
No, you weren't actually. It was that was Rohan's first pole. It was Daniel.
I was on pole for Italy.
It was David. It was David in F1, and then Banana Josh in GP3. You nearly converted it into a win. So as you can see, so there is still that 5-place grid penalty for Joseph Roberts for the collision with Tyler Beasley. So that's going to drop him down to about 13th, which will be no real consolation to Tyler at all, because it doesn't move him up.
But
so
yeah,
according to James,
James,
it said he couldn't re-enter the track because there were cars coming. So it looks like he must have been. The game must have said going backwards, but my guess would have been that the game actually stopped him for disqualified him for being parked in a dangerous location. So
at least he was smart and didn't come back out onto the racing line while other cars were going through, because that could have been a bit nasty.
Well, despite ghosting being on and whatnot, it pretty much does throw someone off when you see a car rejoin on the track, which usually forces you to take evasive action, despite the fact of knowing that it is.
But even then, like you're stupid if you're gonna try and trust the ghosting system, because that's the last thing you want to do.
So, do you want to run through the TK media grid, or do you want me, since I know all the names?
Yeah, no, you know all the names. So
okay, so we got Rudy Randa Gutierrez in pole position from Ethan Lossings in position 2. Then Kyle Wilson. So the 2 Renaults managed to flaunt their way back up to near the front of the field after the qualifying, pretty much holding the front 2. I obviously weren't listening. I was reading the comments below, trying to figure a few things out. So as we say, that Ethan's been disqualified from this. Luke Ringham, Albert Ramirez Garcia in P5, then Ken Doyle, David Williams, managed to finally get a lap in for P7. Then Ayub El Hassanoui in position 8. Then it's Matthew Coyler from Alex Reese. Daniel Budwell, sorry, in position 11 from Alex DeMao. Then it's Tyler Beasley, Joseph Roberts, and James Tamao, who should have originally started about P5, P6, but then was disqualified for reasons that we are now set to believe was actually for being... Oh, and there's a huge crash in the formation lap. Luke and Kyle caught in a huge moment there, and that's not... If that was a real race, that would have been race over for those two.
Yeah, on the stream, it just looks like they were both weaving, and then
they've just weaved into each other.
Weaved into each other. But yeah, different tire, a couple of guys on different tire strategies. So they'll definitely, if they can keep their noses clean through the first chicane on lap 1, and they could be within a good shout for getting a good result. But yeah, Rudy on pole for Ferrari.
It's good to see.
Yeah, I hope this is the only Ferrari pole position we have this weekend, because
well, given the status of the championship statue, you kind of want Daniel to have a bad race, but of course Daniel will probably be very focused on this being his home Grand Prix. Well, with it being his team's home Grand Prix, I'm sure he'll be wanting to do well. So, interesting line out here to watch the start. The lights will build up. I'd say there'll be a delay, will there? Yep, so the revs build up. And away we go for the Italian Grand Prix. And it was actually a really good initial jump there by Ethan Lossings heading into that bit. But it looks like Rudy's just absolutely brained them off the start. And he'll lead them off into turn 1. A fair bit of contact.
Three wide in the middle.
Ethan's made a huge mistake coming into turn 2 and it's gone horrendously wide. Has dropped a tump. In fact, he's dropped nearly 13 positions to go from P2 right to the back of the field. We'll just watch.
Doesn't look like he's got damage though, so he'll definitely be able to carry on and push back his way back to the field.
One of the Red Bulls just grabbed the field. We got
Tyler gave I think one of the Mercedes a little bump and run, and
we've got.
There's been a big crash at the back.
Can't see anything now. It looks like it's gone, but that was Joseph Roberts. They've got 2 cars off in the dirt there in the spinning McLaren of Alex Reese, and it looks like also Ethan Lossing. Well. So yeah, both cars went off the track, and it was pretty much a waiting game to see who were.
But in all of this, David Edwards gone from P7 to P2 on the soft. So
and he's under attack now from Kyle Wilson. Kyle's on the super soft, so we'll have the more residual grip to start the race. But David's really holding his ground here. So Rudy's pulled away.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
he's got one of the Toro Rossos is Ken Doyle into the fence at the pit wall. I think he got helped in there by one of the other 2 drivers in front. This is quite an interesting opening stanza. Very actually clean turn 1.
Yeah, Tyler's in the pit lane for a new front wing. Now, it wasn't that clean. They were full wide into turn 1, and I think David might have been the reason that Ethan was off wide at turn 1, because he was just on the outside turn 2 and had nowhere to go. So
from my perspective, it just looked like Ethan locked up coming into 2, which is very unusual given the state of how quickly you actually go into turn 2 from turn 1. So either there was desync there,
it's
or
still possible though.
If it was desync, I can understand it, but it just looked like to me that Ethan's just made a huge meal of the turn. And
one of the Salvers is around
it's Alex DeMao, and that's not something that you'll want to be doing on your home Grand Prix. So he's managed to stay in P11, so he hasn't lost ground. As James Tamayo's actually made a really good. He's made up 7 positions from the start to be now up into P8 from the back of the grid. We'll just have a look at we'll see if we can just have a look and see what the positional changes are. So David Edwards up 5 spots, James up 7. In fact, as we say that, the battle between David and Kyle still rages on, and that's actually helped Luke into the battle as well. And Luke's actually brained Kyle around the outside, so.
Oh no, it wasn't.
Well, it sets up as the out.
Move.
Yeah, I suppose you would call it a switchback because it did end up being in that regard. So it looks like Luke's got a fair amount of pace now, but Rudy's just kind of checked off into his own little world.
Yeah, so
the Madagascan is doing quite well.
Yeah, as long as Rudy can keep his nose clean, he should be, and keep a consistent pace. He should be all right for the lead because
Luke's made Luke went horrendously wide into the second Lesmo, and he's lost a ton of positions for all that. And that's put Albert up to.
I was running how it dropped. But yeah, David's looked really wide through a sky, and he's been put in the fence by Kyle. Oh, and he's been collected as Kyle's coming back across the. Oh, they're all over the fence.
Oh, that's
Jamie.
And James didn't ghost.
Jamie's collected them.
And Ayub has also been caught up in that as well. That's a huge. It was a very meaningless move there by Kyle. And it looks like Luke's been. No, I think actually Luke would have just given that one up. So that's really reshaped the order here. As Albert Garcia is now coming under attack from Matthew Coyler. But yeah, I think Kyle has a case to answer for that one.
Yeah, no, from what it looks like Kyle just got the overrun on him, and he just stuck his nose in while David was squeezing him, and then it just looks like Kyle had nowhere to go.
It really comes down to how you approach those kind of corners, especially through the exit of Ascari. It's tricky. You don't generally want to be on the outside coming into Ascari. So I think for Kyle's sake, he probably should have got off the acceleration and let David have the move and then have the position, because it would have then set him up for Parabolica. But I suppose you don't think about those kind of things when you're in the middle of the race. So a very avoidable incident that's taken out for pretty much 3 people in one sitting. And poor Joan Tomeo, he just had nowhere to go. Absolutely nowhere to go.
Yeah, but in all of this, look at the lead Rudy's got now. He's got it out to about 13. It's about just under 12 and a half seconds. So if you think he was cruising before, he's really cruising along now.
Yeah, but I mean, it goes to your point that you can't trust the ghosting system, because James just smashed into the side of the Mercedes of, as we just see Daniel Budwell. I don't know why I keep thinking David, but Daniel going through the escape row, well, the mini chicane through turn 1 to avoid getting a penalty after locking up into turn 2. But yeah, that was a very unfortunate accident, and I'd say the stewards will definitely look into that one. As Tyler Beasley, Tyler we've actually ignored a little bit given where he was at the start of the race. He's up to P5 now on the medium tyres. They won't get to the end, especially not.
I was going to say, yeah, I don't think they'll get to the end, but it'll definitely get him far enough into the race where he might be able to say maybe go on a fresh set of softs, maybe with 6 or 7 laps to go, and just go ham to the end, maybe to make up some more places. But he's got he's got 9 seconds to the guy behind, so he's got a ton of clean at the moment. So all he really needs to do now is just sit in his own bubble and just make sure his tyres get to a certain number so he can go to the end.
And as you can tell, yeah, we just got a lot going on in the
I assume you're catching up on
yeah, it's blowing up as David Edwards does the fastest lap of the race. Tyler definitely abuses turn 1 from what I can see. Definitely, I would imagine he's getting corner cut penalty or corner cut warnings for that, because there's no way in hell you can take that corner like that and not be given a warning. Now, the gap between Rudy and Albert Garcia is actually steadily dropping. So Albert's now, with fresh air, is actually starting to put the hammer down and actually try and attack the Ferrari. Of course, Ferrari will be looking to get a first home Grand Prix win since David did here last season. But in saying that, Merc is looking very, very aggressive at the moment.
If anything, Rudy won't be too worried. Rudy will just be worried about conserving his ERS, conserving his fuel, conserving the tyres, and getting to a number where at the moment it looks like he might be able to jump on the softs and go to the end. So,
well, we're only about two or three laps away from the pit window for the super soft runners. So we'll see a few bits of activity. The undercut here isn't... It's not great. It's not that great, but it's not like Spain, where tyre degradation is so bad that anyone that does an undercut is guaranteed to win that battle.
You're guaranteed to jump someone. Yeah. Like the tyre deg around here isn't actually that bad. It's just, as I was saying in qualifying, it's just making sure you look after those rears, because pretty much every corner around here is a traction zone. So if you're nice on the throttle and can be cool, you can look after the rear tyres, you can go quite far into your stint.
Another driver that's actually showing a bit of pace at the moment is also Daniel Budwell in P4. He's, after that mistake, he's actually started to range onto the back of Matthew Coyler in the Red Bull, and he was initially in DRS range prior, as Rudy and Alex De Mayo both get a time penalty for corner cutting, different areas of course. Rudy through turn 1 and turn 2, which I sometimes find a little bit unusual unless you go off the track at turn 1 and turn 2, or if you're too aggressive into 2. Or
maybe he did because that gap's gone up another good 4 or 5 tenths, so maybe he did. But if you didn't see it, well, then we can't really judge. But yeah, Daniel and the McLaren's looking quite aggressive. He's sitting right on the back of the Red Bull going through the Lesmos. He should have DRS going down into Ascari.
The thing I find about Ascari though is that it's not the DRS zone. It does give you a bit of a boost, but it's not an ideal place to have it, honestly, because
it's really just there to set you up to maybe look into a move in a parabolic, or set you up for the second DRS run down into turn 1. If anything, they need to put a DRS zone out on the exit of Ascari going down in the parabolica.
I would probably put it about just where that grass verges, because I wouldn't be wanting to try and activate DRS in the middle. Well, when I'm in a position that I can just throw the car into the fence, so they would have to think about it quite a bit.
Oh, yeah, in real life it wouldn't be too bad, but then like in the game it'd be quite OP for the AI to
Well, hang on, I'll hold that thought for a second here, as Budwell's now got the run on Coyler, and he's done it easy. He's actually done it really easy, even before the first turn.
Rudy's come in for the softs.
I don't know if that's... I'm not convinced that that's going to be a good strategy there for Rudy, because that's only going to take him to roughly about lap 20, lap 21, and then he's going to fall off the cliff. So,
well, not really. No, the softs can do about 17, 18 laps if you really look after them. So so they can go quite far into the race, as long as you as I said, as long as you look after them. And at the moment, with the gap that Rudy's got, he's really just out here just go into the end. He's not really fighting anybody. He's got clean air at the moment, so he's just looking to finish this and get the race finished. And who's that in the current left?
That is Alex Reese. He's disconnected, it looks like. So we'll just have a quick look, and so let's just have a little read through the Discord chat to see what
The Mercedes is in for his stop, and he's going on to the medium, so it looks like he'll definitely be going to the end. And who's that? I think the McLaren, I'm not McLaren, the Renault of Kyle just got a 3 second. But what's the gap now between Rudy and Mercedes? I think, yeah, I think the gap's still about the same. So, and obviously while the Mercedes tyres come into the groove, the Rudy on the soft should really start extending that gap, as the softs probably about 6 to 7 tenths lap faster than the medium. So if he can extend that gap out, and then if his tyres do start to drop off towards the end of the race, then he should have a comfortable gap to
Well, Albert's also got the notion of having to try and get past David Edwards as well, so that should help Albert in a way get his tyres warmed up, but it's also going to take a chunk out of those tyres at the same time, so he's going to want to have to try and clear David pretty quickly. David looks like he's actually struggling a little bit.
Bubble and Beatles are both in.
So Matthew Poyler and Daniel Budwell, and that puts Rudy back to the top of the field, and then Tyler Beasley now makes it a Ferrari 1-2, but I don't expect to see that for too long, because we don't think Tyler will be able to hold this ground for too much longer. I'd say about another 10 laps and we'll expect to see him in for one last blast. And David now up to P3, but he's also running a different strategy as opposed to that incident, which surprisingly hasn't blown up as much as I thought it would, but I suppose that it will come to a head once David and Kyle finish the race, because one will start accusing the other, so we'll see how that plays out. I'd say there'll be a definite investigation as to why that happened, and there's certainly been an action-packed last few races over the course of the TNF1 Esports series. Hungary, Belgium.
Just in I was gonna say, just in general. Ever since we've come back from the Christmas break, everyone's been fired up. It's been really exciting to watch the last few races, in the commentary box and on track racing in them.
Well, just hold that thought for a second. We've got Kyle Wilson now trying to make a move on Daniel Budwell. Daniel's tyres haven't quite come up to temp yet, while as Kyle's running 7 lap fresh. Oh, Daniel tried to go deep into parabolic and has lost the position as a result. He probably should have admitted defeat, and it would have looked a little less bad on him in that regard. But he's got the DRS.
No, he doesn't. That's the thing. He doesn't have the DRS.
That's just raw slipstream. My God, that McLaren.
Oh, he's gone horrendously deep. He's parked it on the apex of turn 2. Looks like Kyle will get the move back, and
Ken Doyle's gonna take an opportunistic move here and take position, and he might actually get the run on. Oh no, but he's been. I wouldn't. I think he's on a controller. I think he's on a controller, so he's going to try and commit to this move through the. That's a Vettel mistake there. Luckily, he didn't spin.
Yeah, it's very hard to go too wide through there. So he's backed out before any damage was caused, but the fight will carry on down into Ascari.
And Ken's done a good job actually, despite all the. I'm pretty sure he's harbouring wing damage as well, still from the. He is too. He's still harbouring the wing damage from when he was escorted into the fence at the last turn, so he's doing well despite that, and this is probably the best battle we've got at the moment. So that McLaren definitely has some straight line speed on it, that's for sure, coming down the back straight, able to just draw on the slipstream and then make a move, even while the car behind him the car next to him had full DRS. So we'll just bide our time and see what happens here. Here comes the DRS from the Toro Rosso. Does he have the straight line speed to account it? Yes, he does. Is he going to fire it down the inside at turn
No,
1? No, he's not. So he's...
No, he's not in there. He was harvesting his ERS down that main straight in turn 1. So it looks like he's not looking to make a move on a guy who's on older super softs. He's just looking to just maybe save his ERS and maybe try and get closer to the Mercedes for maybe a podium fight.
It could be that.
Because at the moment, if Tyler was to pit now, Tyler would come out about.
Well, here's the. Well,
P4,
actually, speaking of Tyler,
P4, yeah.
this is starting to heat up big time between the two Ferrari boys. Tyler's managed to rope in so much time on Rudy. In fact, he might very well
have a move into turn 1. I think Tyler was just within a second a lap ago, so maybe it looks like Rudy's just sitting in ERS conserving mode at the moment. So maybe he's willing to let Tyler go just to
try and consolidate a 1-2 finish. But here we go. So there's the move. Rudy doesn't argue the point at all. Although he does try to set himself up for the over and under, but didn't.
And David's in, and Kyle's in as well.
That would have been expected because these two have pushed their tyres to their absolute. They've actually pushed their super softs a lot further than ideally. So the super softs can usually run up to 10 to 11 laps, 9 at the worst. So you don't want to be on your supers too long because then you'll just start.
But do remember Kyle did pit. No, Kyle's super softs were 10 laps old. So yeah, so maybe.
Oh, hang on, we've got a 6-1 incident.
I think that was David going through the chicane again in P4. It looked like A. McLaren going through the first turn chicane again.
Oh yeah, so it must have been
escape roads.
It must have been Daniel Budwell because Alex Reese has not been able to get back into his car, so trundling outside the points at the moment with Alex DeMeo heading up the last point finish, which I suppose at the end of the day is not such a bad run given the state of what could have been. Now Rudy's managed to get oh no, here we go. So as we thought, Tyler's in. So I would wonder if maybe these two are actually in party chat with one another, and Tyler said let me ahead so I can have a decent in lap. So
maybe, who knows? But yeah, but at the moment it looks like he might just jump. Yeah, like he's going to jump Ken, getting some clean air, and he's going to be hunting down.
Yeah, but Ken's going to have the initial better run on this lap because of the tyre temp differences. So if Ken can put himself in a position where he can make a move,
but Ken is on 12 lap old softs. Do remember that as well. His tyres are starting to grain quite a bit on the front left. I hate to imagine what his rears are looking like at the moment. So but see what I mean though with the difference between the softs and the supers. The gap's now out to 20 seconds. But then again, the Mercedes was in a bit of traffic with Rudy's been in clean air the whole race.
So we'll see what happens now that we've only got 12 laps left to go. So to take this off 17 laps, there will be an interesting telling point. But we'll see what happens irrespective. Now Rudy says he wants to go back to F4, but he can't actually officially be deemed an F4 driver until he can have a replacement for him in F3. So your effective race leader is actually Albert Ramirez Garcia, and Ken Doyle is P2. So
I was going to say that surely you could, if he wants to move F4 this week, you could class him as the race winner this week for F4. But again, we'll discuss that after the race with the committee and see if we can get someone to. But yeah, but just look at the difference though between the softs and the mediums. He's really just constantly extending that gap.
But that could also be on the account that Rudy's trying to get the gap, so that when the tyres fall off, Albert has to push harder to try and get closer to him. So we'll see how that plays. And there's always a safety car. But in saying that, he has now got another problem because he's now got Tyler Beasley right behind him. So Tyler's got
as well, and Tyler on fresh softs should be an easy move for the Ferrari driver to going down into
And
on,
done.
on the outside of Scurry and done. Yeah, to, looks like Albert's backed out.
Now here's the interesting telling point. 7-lap-old softs versus 1-lap-old softs. This could be an interesting telling point. Rudy could be in trouble now.
But 20 seconds, like he had to be gaining 2 to 2.5 seconds a lap, and that's just to catch him. Passing him would be a completely different ball game. Well, not really around Italy, but
It's a matter of respect, really. But as Tyler does the fastest lap of the race of a 22 flat.
But you do got to remember as well. Tyler will be pushing pretty much for the rest of the race on next to no ERS, where Rudy's sit on about 80-85% of ERS.
So Ken's in. That's now taken him out of the effective podium, so that's going to change the effectiveness to basically third, fourth, and fifth right now. So we'll see. The gap's now already 19.5, so he's already shaved off 19.2. So he's already shaved off nearly a second this one lap.
Yeah, but the thing for Tyler will be, can I push and still find a way to save my ERS, because.
And I think both are running the same penalties too, so I think they're both racing. I don't think either one of them has a penalty over the other.
It looks like Rudy's got 1 penalty and 2 warnings. Tyler's got 2 penalties and 1 warning.
Okay, so it does change the perspective a little bit. Well, actually quite a lot, as David Edwards now made a move on Matt Coyler for position. So David's on the charge as well. Though Matt's got the initial run coming back through, but you would be very daring to try and make a move.
On the one on the outside of Parabolica and 2 with no ERS.
And 3 Justin Parrott. Oh, and Ken's out. Where's he done it? That's disappointing. He was actually running very well this weekend. Is it the Lismo?
I think it might have been Exeter Ascari.
We're just watching. So here comes.
Alex is.
There's the yellow flags.
Right on board with Rudy. Race leaders just coming through there now. I think it was. Or actually, Alex would probably give a better tally.
Yeah.
Because where he overtakes. Yeah, there he is. There you can see him on the exit of Ascari.
Yeah, there. Oh, that's an interesting. That almost looks like he's actually just
It's very easy to lose the rear end through Ascari. You'd take too much curve, and then and especially Ken being on the controller as well. I don't think he'd have a chance of catching anything like that. So he would have lost the rear and then just the car. Oh, Rudy's in again.
Front wing damage, maybe?
No, he's on a 2-stop.
No, I think he's convinced. I think he was convinced himself that the softs were not going to make it to the end. So there goes Tyler into the lead, the on-track lead of the race. But Rudy will still. Oh, this could actually be. Oh, this is touch and go. Well,
maybe Rudy thinks he's fighting for the race lead effectively, but obviously, obviously not yet. But he's not. Well, yeah.
We'll wait and see how it goes. But he still manages to come out in front of Albert. So it's
But now they're talking. Oh no, there's only 7 laps. There's only 8 laps to go.
Which
8
is
or 9 laps to go. So
he'll get to the end, but those super softs will be a little below, a little medium rear by that point. So Ken's demise has promoted Alex back up to the points, despite the fact that he's still probably trying to get back into his car.
No, look, I never seen him rejoin the session once he left. So no, I think he was saying in the Discord chat that someone took him out for like the 3rd race in a row.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at that myself. I mean,
from what it looks like you're saying someone.
Actually, it looks like it. Actually, I'm starting to think it was actually a
rage quit.
Yeah, so that will actually immediately disqualify him from the results for that. As we've said time and time again, we don't tolerate rage quitters. And a special mention here a special mention here in the comment section for the in the comment section hashtag Mackenzie sucks from our one and only Guy Tasker. So thanks for watching.
Yeah. So So does So Ken does confirm that there's too much curb in the middle of a scar and he's just lost the rear end. So
it's a very interesting position to have done it. Usually it's usually more the case of doing it at the end of a scurry, maybe even somewhat before on the first curve of a scurry. But yeah, to do it in the middle, it's easy to do, but very.
It's easy to do, but it's not that common.
No.
You're more likely to lose it on the exit of a scurry.
Ooh, Rudy with another penalty.
So while you're attacking that last bit of a scurry, but yeah, that pretty much brings the penalty to even. So Rudy needs to make that gap up now for to have a chance of.
So Rudy now has a penalty which equals the standing point between him and Tyler, and we've got a few fans cheering on.
Albert, it looks like.
And it looks like, according to Ken, the tyre being cold might have played a part in it too. So that's contributing, can be a contributing factor. I've done that before in Malaysia last season when cold tyres on a still reasonably damp track got on the grass and then just grabbed the car and there was nowhere but the fence. But
Alagi.
Okay, anyway, carrying on, so we're just watching Daniel Budwell here in P5 doing quite a good job despite having a few
There's really no battles going on, apart from maybe Kyle and one of the Red Bulls, it looks like. I'm just watching Kyle's line through the Lesmos and he's
actually a very interesting point by Luke Ringham in the comment section. Tyler Beasley leading the race after starting 14th on the grid.
Last to first challenge confirmed.
Well, second to last to first confirmed, really. But yeah.
And if anything is like he's extended that gap over Rudy as well on those super soft. While Rudy's on fresh super softs, so maybe Rudy's just realised that he can just cruise now and he can let Tyler do whatever he wants because he knows Tyler isn't in F4 officially. Whereas
oh, here we go, another incident. No, an overtake.
No, it was Kyle just making a move down the main straight into turn 1 and 2 on Beetles.
Interestingly, I just clicked onto something. Tyler Beasley has won the last 3 Saturdays in a row. He took Hungarian honours. No, actually, no, sorry, he didn't. No, that was actually Bo. But he won. Oh, just thought I saw Albert go off the circuit there at Ascari. He won the Belgium Grand Prix F4 race, went to F3, won that race, and now he looks set that he could win here for F4. Could he do it again in F3 and take a bit of history there to win back-to-back F4 and F3? But of course, hopefully next weekend, or not next weekend, the weekend after, when we go to Singapore, we shouldn't have the need for invitationals.
We should be alright for F4. Like once we get everybody sussed out. Since we do have that week off, but everyone loves a well-deserved break, especially if the racing's going to keep up like this for the rest of the season. Everyone deserves a break here and there.
Yeah, people talk about needing racing to keep the blood flowing. I think if anything, if you have a bad race, the last thing you want to do is be thinking about the next one straight away. So a break every now and again is accommodated. Actually, surprisingly, I'm just starting to notice that David Edwards is starting to actually catch Albert Garcia a little bit. Not by much, but it was just enough for me to start noticing it. The gap's 2.5 seconds and gradually going down. As actually, David did make a bit of a mistake going through there, through Ascari, and that would imagine would been on the account of the lapped car of Alex Reese, which, as we say, we don't tolerate rage quitters, so anyone caught rage quitting from a bad situation, their car is immediately disqualified, so they don't score points, and we might actually probably might actually start dishing out license points as well. I think we'll definitely look into doing that.
Yeah, well, it was not like he was going to score points anyways, because he would have needed to complete he would have needed to complete 90% of the race distance to be classed as a finisher anyway. So it's not like his car. It's not like he would have done 90% of the race when he did quit. So
yeah, that
back to the front. Yeah,
that gap is dropping.
The gap's now. It's now at 10 seconds.
No, I'm not talking about that gap. I'm talking about, well, Rudy's. Ooh, actually, if Rudy's not careful.
Oh yeah, I'll have a look since you're on stream. Oh my gosh, Kush. Albert only has no penalties, he only has a warning, and Rudy's got 3 penalties.
So that's 9 seconds. The gap's 12.8. But in saying that,
yeah, but with
well, David's on the charge here. But David, I think, has a few penalties to his name. I'm not sure, but
yeah, I'll just have a quick look for you. David has a penalty. He's got 2 penalties. I'm just gonna have a quick look. I think there might be. Oh, there's so many bloody incidences from like the first 3 laps.
Yeah, I couldn't. Oh, we got to move here. So
Kyle cut in 3 seconds.
Kyle has made.
Here goes David around the outside through Curva Grande, down into turn 4. I think he might have Albert. Yeah, I think he's got him.
Has he? Albert's trying to fight the issue here. They're going to go side by side in here. This usually doesn't end well, but actually, Albert's
had to back out, and David's managed to get the move done.
So now,
on penalties, Albert will take that position back and some.
Well, only if Rudy gets one more penalty. Although, let me just check the intervals between the leaders.
Yeah, no, it's 13 seconds between second and third, so he'd have to get another 2 penalties for
And there's only and it's actually escaped me, but there is only technically 2 laps left to go. So,
oh gosh, there is 2. Where's this race gone?
So, just looking ahead of things. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to pretty much come down to effectiveness, but the effectiveness is that it will be Albert Garcia from, at least until we sort out the Rudy situation, but even then, if we don't sort it out before the halfway point between this week in Singapore, then it will be just classified as Albert with the win from David Edwards, and then Kyle Wilson should be the 3rd driver. Although it's hard to say. It's probably really hard to say where everyone is based on penalties at the moment, because there's probably.
Yeah, we'll have to
wait until the checkered flag is flown. And of course, this year for actual F1, the checkered flag system has been changed to a checkered flag light instead of as well as the flag, because of course we had a situation in the Canadian Grand Prix.
The whole thing at Canada here where the flag got waved a lap. That's smart. Good idea, but maybe just don't employ someone to wave the flag that doesn't know what they're doing.
Exactly. No disrespect to
whoever did it, but
I can't remember her name now. It's like Milo or something like that. But yeah, so Tyler Beasley from 14th on the grid is going to take a non-official race win, and it will be also a non-official race win for Ferrari.
And a non-official Ferrari 1-2.
Yes.
Imagine the scenes if this carries on for the rest of the weekend. I'll be crying.
Well, I
cry
don't.
myself to
I
sleep.
think.
I'll
I
cry
think he'll
myself
be.
to sleep on Sunday night.
Well, I think he'll be safe in knowing that. I don't think Matthias is attending F1 tomorrow, so I think you won't have a 1-2. And then F2 Ferrari. Honestly,
Possible.
I honestly don't think. I haven't seen an F2 Ferrari in ages, so I don't think they have. Oh, well, yeah, they have, but they haven't been up the front.
They're at the bottom of the constructors anyway, so it's not like it'll matter. But yeah, here comes Tyler around the last corner to take the checkered flag unofficially for Ferrari here at Monza. This will be the way that they wanted to start their weekend.
And we think so. At the moment, it's going to be an unofficial 1-2 with Rudy in second, but we'll see if that remains. I would say it will, because it is still 13.
Oh, that's a big crash.
That is a big crash,
Alex.
But Alex has finished. So here comes David Edwards, holds position. Here comes Albert Garcia. So Albert Garcia will take the official race win from David Edwards. Now,
and look at all of this. Kyle and Chargers going to take a unofficial 3-4 for now, but
so we'll grab. So we'll invite those people in. So we'll just find. Where is? So there's one. There's two, and there's three. So we'll grab our effective 1, 2, and 3. I love how it shows the dates of the actual Grand Prix, even though this year it's probably not legit to knit this year's ones. So very interesting to see Ferrari on the top step of the podium. Unofficial, of course, because both are still effective F3 drivers. So we've got our effective race winner, Albert Ramirez Garcia. Now, Albert, just make sure that you've got your voice set to share by all so that we can hear you on the broadcast. First and foremost, congratulations, you are the effective race winner of the Italian Grand Prix, position 3 on track. Talk us through your race and how you were able to just hold ground and take the victory. Actually, very scaringly, the two members of the crash are actually position 2 and 3 on the leaderboard. So this could be a very interesting podium presentation. Hopefully, we can kind of avoid too much confrontation. So thanks for the chat, Albert. We'll see you in a couple of weeks at Singapore. David. So yeah, that crash. We need to hear about this crash. But before that, congratulations, P2. Despite all that, but yeah, that crash probably might have hindered what possible chance of a win.
I don't know what happened, whether he lagged or something and he went into the back of me, or whether I turned into him. I haven't got a clue. So until I look at it, I'm not annoyed. It was just one of those things. So
It was spectacular to watch on the stream. I'm not gonna lie, but
well, I don't think anyone's gonna deny. I think anyone from the spectator side is not gonna deny that. But it looks like it was a valiant return comeback drive, and you definitely had a fair amount of pace at the end of the race to be able to make the move on Albert through the. I can't actually remember what's the corner name again. The Corner de Gracia or something.
Well, the first stint, I don't know what was going on. I had no pace whatsoever, so I can imagine he was quite desperate to get past. And then I just felt like I linked up with the car towards the end, and yeah. So I don't know if I had an unfair penalty as well, so I'll have to send in a review. But yeah, we'll see. Well,
we'll see how that plays out. Congratulations on P2 finish. Kyle Wilson, the other party of the incident in the edge of Ascari. Let's hear it. Without sounding too, let's try not and keep it PG. From your perspective, what happened, and congratulations on the P3 finish. Alright, so it caused quite a bit of a catastrophe, which took out a few drivers, but I mean, things happen like that. It's all racing, it's all that kind of stuff, so you know, you can always bounce back, and you've managed to do so with a P3 finish. Good overtaking, good battles, it looked like all around. Do you feel like you had pace to contend with the top three, or the actual top three, or? And it was actually a good initial qualifying from you and your teammate as well, to sit effectively 1 and 2 up until some of the faster drivers came out too. So that was a really good effort from you and from the rest of the team. So we'll see you guys at Singapore for round 5 of the championship, and well done to our top 3 drivers: Albert Ramirez Garcia, David Edwards, and Kyle Wilson. Mackenzie, you got any extra thoughts before we wrap up?
No, I just wanted to hear about what happened, and I just wanted to hear about the others' POV from that crash. But yeah, no, other than that, that was basically it. Yeah, no, congratulations to the top 3.
And of course, congratulations also to Rudy and Tyler, who of course took the on-track 1-2 finish for Ferrari. Much like Mackenzie said, Ferrari will now be hoping that they can carry on this momentum heading into F3, which is in roughly about 2 hours time. Or actually, sorry, about an hour's time. Actually, I keep mistaking that for
Actually, 45 minutes.
Well, yeah, I keep mistaking it from F1 to F2 time. But thanks for watching, guys. Brett Keenan, I'll be commentating once again with Mark Bratby for F3. And then join Mackenzie next day on 11 o'clock New Zealand Standard Time, which is in 2 days. Technically 2 hours from now, tomorrow,
24 hours.
For F2, and then of course tune in again this time again next week, or tomorrow, for F1 coverage with myself and Matthew Elliott. See if our championship points leader can try and bank a home Grand Prix win, and actually go back to back, considering actually a funny fact that Daniel Vale did win the GP2 Grand Prix here last year, and see if he can go up the ladder and do it again. But of course Mackenzie here will try and deny
do
that.
Everything I can to stop him.
as well as many others. But anyway, Brett Keenan, Mackenzie Stewart signing out here from F4, and we'll see you very shortly for F3. And